now call to order. As a reminder for everybody, we are audio and video recording the entire session. Roll call, please.
Mr. Borland? Mrs. Bullock? Here. Mrs. Johnson? Here. Mr. Street?
Here.
Mrs. Van Meter? Here.
Tonight we have two scouts in attendance, Nick Twilbeck and Caleb Clark from Troop 268 of Pine Creek. If you'd be so kind to come to the front and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, we would sincerely appreciate it.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The public hearing on charter school application. Academy School District 20 received an application for a charter school, New Summit Charter Academy. For Colorado Revised Statute 22-30.5-1072, the Board of Education will hold community meetings to obtain information to assist the board in its decision concerning the application. Tonight is the first of those community meetings. The second will occur November 17, 2016. The application will be considered for adoption at the regular Board of Education meeting on Thursday, December 8, 2016. This evening, the board will hear from the applicant and ask any pertinent questions. However, the board will, to the extent possible, refrain from commenting on or discussing the merits of the application, as that discussion will occur at the second hearing scheduled for November 17, 2016. At this time, let the record show that the community meeting on the New Summit Charter Academy application is now open. In the interest of respecting the time for all who are present, the applicant will be allowed 15 minutes for remarks, which may be shared among speakers for the New Summit Charter Academy. Other speakers with comments on the application are to limit their remarks to 3 minutes or less. We ask each speaker to come to the podium and state his or her name. Dr. Tony Valley, President of the New Summit Charter Academy Board, as the spokesperson for the applicant, do you have any comments you wish to make?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to come and talk about New Summit Charter Academy. I'm probably the least likely person to be president or a board to form a new charter. I work as a defense contractor. I travel 50% of the time. But I was here last year. I have a 3-year-old daughter sitting in the audience with us today. And that convinced me when I was here last year that there really is a need to have some additional charter school slots available in this community. And so I wound up caught up in the mix, and before you know it, president of the board. So I'm here to let you know what we're going to try and do with the New Summit Charter Academy. Of course, we've submitted our application already. That went in on September 30th. We thank you for reviewing that. We are a proposed K-12 charter school, opening in the fall of 2017, and the K-6 school with the intention of growing year for year after that. So if you look at the slides that you have before you, our mission statement is to build an educational community that emphasizes a love of learning and inspires and empowers our students to reach new summits. And I do want to emphasize, especially as we go through here, that love of learning. We want the environment to be such that the students really enjoy what they're doing as part of their learning at New Summit. So let me talk briefly about the board members. As I mentioned, Dr. Tony Valley. I have a PhD in physics, so it's that kind of doctor. I work for a defense contractor. I've been doing defense contracting for almost 30 years now, and the travel for that has made this more of a challenge than it otherwise could be, and I rely very heavily on Rick Van Meter, and he is our board vice president. Rick is a realtor here and has been a school service advocate for many, many, many years, and I really can't say enough about him. Aaron Saul, also here is our secretary. Aaron is a technology expert. Really good at making sure that we treat the technology as a tool, not a toy. And we say more about that later. Keeps us on the straight and narrow in that regard. Matt Redner is not able to be with us here tonight. He's kind of in the peak of his season, medical device sales. That means being in the room all the time looking after. He is our board treasurer. he also has school-age children who we attend in Sunday down there, and they are gifted and wonderful children, and what little time he has available spends traveling around getting them to play soccer and such. And then Cindy Helling, who's also here with us, is a special education instructor and our special education sort of representative on the board. So let me talk first about governance for New Summit. So we are incorporated as a Colorado nonprofit. We are not using a service provider for this school, so the board will be in direct control of the hiring, budget responsibilities as part of their normal functions. Our bylaws are already established terms, conditions for nomination, election techniques, the constitution of the board. We currently set in the bylaws a desire for a 7-person board. We only have 5 of those slots filled. We intend to try and solicit a couple of more board members to bring up the full total list. As for funding, we've applied for startup grant funding. Aaron has been a prime mover and shaker in getting the grant money started, and there are other grant opportunities that we're going to try and pursue to supplement the PBOR that we would receive from the district. We are also seeking 501c3 status. We expect that to be something coming forward in the next couple of months to improve our access to grant and foundation money to supplement. We have produced a budget. You received that as part of the application. That budget assumes that you are in school. Given our current state of application, we don't believe that that's going to be a problem, especially the interest that we have already received. We seem to say that we're on good track to meet the budget numbers. So for facilities, we were very fortunate. The building at 7899 Lexington Drive has agreed to a lease condition with us contingent upon receipt of our charter. So we executed that lease agreement. That'll go into effect contingent upon receiving the charter. 5-year term for the facility with option to buy, and that lease agreement includes build-out funding. So should we receive a charter, we'll be in a position to begin construction in that building in the spring and convert that to the classrooms that we need to out of funding that's already being provided by the building. In addition, the Xfinity Sports Complex that's basically adjacent to that farm has agreed to allow us, and we still have to finalize agreements, but it's an agreement in principle to use that during school hours as a gymnasium. So it's a really top-flight facility. It will give us access to floor space, equipment storage, and essentially be parking lot access for students and faculty. So when we need to cross the street to get there, it really does add an extra value to that property. Then briefly on our school vision, I certainly won't bore you by reading the bullets to you that you can read, but I would like to emphasize that our intention at USUM is to be an academically strong, core knowledge-based school that includes character development. We haven't selected a specific character development program yet, but we do have a couple that have been discussed that we're looking at. One of them from the Open Skies Foundation, another is the Capturing Kids' Hearts program. Those are not religious-based character development, they're secular character development, but we feel that it's an important aspect of what has to go on if you're going to maintain that level of learning that we said was important for the school. In addition, I'd like to point out that we really believe in literacy first and in math mastery. Literacy is the gateway for future learning, and I was told a story long ago when I was a college freshman, so you can imagine how long ago that was. That instead of what was common at the time, the expectation that you would go and work for a company and you'd put in your 30 years and you'd finish and you'd get a gold watch, they told us, you should expect to change careers 4 times over the course of your working life and jobs 7 times over the course of your working life. As an 18-year-old, I thought that was manifest nonsense. So I countered it up recently. And I'm working my 7th job in my 4th career. Pretty much exactly right. So I think that children entering school today face an even more dynamic environment. For me to try and predict what they're going to need for college, or if they don't go to college, or any such thing for 15, 20 years down the road is a fool's game. Better to simply prepare them to deal with the challenges life is going to throw at them. And that means that they need to master the ability to teach themselves. And the two pillars that that's going to sit upon is that literacy, so that they can read and understand on their own, and the math mastery in an increasingly technological world. And then we're going to include music, art, physical education. It is our intention to treat the student as a whole, the mind, the body, the soul, or the artistic appreciation, if you will. So all aspects to be in the school system. Spanish language is foreign language initially. And then Aaron has pointed out to us many a time, we talk about this at our parents' meetings, that if you want to bring your child to a school because it's going to have all the glittery gizmos that are the latest trend, this is the wrong school to go to. Where technology makes sense, it should be incorporated into the curriculum. There are aspects of modern technology that are critical for students to understand and master, but that doesn't mean that we're going to pick up shiny objects because they're shiny objects. We're going to make sure that they're doing something valuable for part of that education. As of noon today, Rick has been maintaining our expressions of interest, and as of noon today, we had 325 EOIs. 50% of those come from District 20. An additional 46% come from adjacent districts. District 20, so 96% total in district or adjacent. 239 of those are in K through 6 for August of 2017. The rest are pre-K. We have been growing at a pretty substantial rate. We were fairly flat in EOIs for a while, but we have, over the past month or so, substantially increased the number of EOIs that we have. So we're targeting 400 or so by the time we meet again on the 17th. We think that that's highly possible, and more than that by the time the board review on the 8th of this month. And that's all I have, unless there are any questions from the board.
Guys, are there any questions? I know that we'll have a much more significant conversation on the 7th. Any questions? Dr. Galley?
All right, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Mrs. Cortez, do we have anyone signed up to comment on the proposed charter school application?
We don't.
Okay, thank you. Sometimes the procedures might be a little bit hazy. Are there any members in the audience who wish to comment on the charter school application?
We just really need it.
Yes.
My grandkids have been on the waiting list since before they were born, and one is 9 and one is 5 for TCA, and so I think there's a real need there.
Thank you. This concludes it.
It's a charter school now, but we have to drive quite a ways, a lot further away to get there. And this is a lot closer.
I'd also like to say, as a homeschooler, this school interests me. I've looked at other schools and they've not, sorry, in the district, but this one has, and so we are actually considering for next year to pull my son out of homeschool. He's actually in the homeschool academy here, at the building here, but as a homeschooler, I think this is a very good charter school to put him in, so.
Thank you.
I got a question. Because this incorporates, I guess, even with what's going on with the bond, you know, the whole discussion has been addition of students and not having enough classroom spots for children. So I guess as you do your discussions, I would like to see that as a strong point on how many seats this would actually open up in D20, you know, for people that are either trying to get into D20. And from what I understand, there's 1,000 people on the waiting list over at TCA. So I just think that as you discuss this, I'd like to hear what everybody's opinion is on that and what this would actually help in accommodating you know, the growth that everybody's been talking about for the last 3 months.
This concludes the first community meeting of the New Summit Charter Academy application. Let's take about a 3-minute break.
Hey, how are you? Good. I was hoping we could get your book for Yeah. And my friend Daniel. I mean, I'm sorry. He's holding up the
Say hi to Mr.
Dad, I know, I texted her. She's like, all right, guys. They bring both. I know. Because me about it, and then I just kind of started texting. It is. You have to have on my threads. Shannon. I didn't see you walk in. I kept looking around the room and I'm like, why isn't Shannon here? I know she's like, it's so good to see you. You're doing well. Are they? You got your face up some things. Did I do So there you go. You got your face on camera.
There is actually a login chart that describes how to appreciate it.
Yeah.
Sir. Now, I don't know. If somebody asks, I think what I want to do is bring you. Oh, yeah, that's right. Nice to see you. They were every so.
We are back in session. We'll now approve the agenda for the Board of Education's regular meeting. Ms. Adad, are there any items or addendums to the agenda?
There were addendums to the agenda, and the board was notified of these for the first time.
Okay, members of the board, are there any items you wish to move from either?
Mrs. Bullock? Here. Mrs. Johnson? Here. Mr. Street? Mrs. Raymond? Here.
There's a ghost.
Really appreciate it.
Katrina was like, I was like, I'm not talking, I hear myself talking.
Oh, sorry.
Good. Members of the board, are there any items you wish to move from either the superintendent's consent agenda or the board's consent agenda? May we have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So moved. Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Bullock?
Aye.
Mrs. Johnson? Aye. Mr. Street?
Aye.
Mrs. Van Meter? Aye.
Great, thank you. Board quote, leadership is not about the next election, it's about the next generation. An application for a charter school. For Colorado revised
Testing.
Board of Education will
We have again, Mark.
use to obtain information to assist the board in its decision.
Good thing we got all our techie people here today.
emphasize this again. Leadership is not about the next election, it's about the next generation. This is by Mr. Simon Sinek, a leadership and management consultant, author, speaker. And if you want to hear an outstanding TED Talk, go to his TED Talk, and his primary one is Start with Why. He's an absolute, he's one of the top TED Talk speakers out there, one of the most often viewed TED Talks that are out there, and as I said, Start with Why, and it's absolutely a fantastic. Leadership is not about the next election, it's about the next generation. We often say, I say 22% of our population, which is our kids, and 100% of our future. Always think about that. Public comments, Mrs. Cortez. Do we have anyone signed up to speak to the board this evening?
We have one person signed up.
Okay. At this time, we welcome any members of the public who would like to address the board to do so. Thank you for being here tonight. In the interest of respecting the time of all who are present, the speakers are to limit their remarks to 3 minutes or less. All speakers will be notified of the remaining time via the mounted monitors behind the dais. When 30 seconds are remaining, the timer will turn yellow and turn red when it is ended. Supplemental written materials are welcome. Please hand the material to Mr. Grady, who is seated to the right of the podium, and he will deliver it to the board secretary. We greatly value all comments from the public, but in order to adhere to board policy and accomplish the work already on the agenda, the board will not respond this evening. Mrs. Cortez.
Our speaker is Heather Cloninger.
Hi, good evening. My name is Heather Cloninger. And I would just first like to point out that this is being taped for the first time, but also before our end of our campaign season, so that happened. My family and I have lived in this district for about 6.5 years. My boys have gone to 3 schools, and we felt blessed to be a part of this district. I've sat on the DAC for 5+ years. I've sat on the TAG PAC, many SACs, and several subcommittees. Currently, I am here representing the campaign committee for this ASD20 Kids, Go 3A. Those who know me know that I sit on those committees because I want to stay in the know and understand the district at its core. Never once have I been a part of these committees for any lack of something to do. I certainly ask hard and maybe uncomfortable questions when I want to understand more. However, I come before you today to say how much I appreciate your service and commitment to this district. At one point or another, I voted for every single one of you. I in no way believe that any of you are uncomfortable or have any time nor desire to sit around and try and find ways to stifle or squash public comment. In fact, we've all had to endure the things that you've had to endure to listen to that people keep bringing to you. I would also like to say that in this contentious environment we find ourselves during these elections, I've been disappointed with a group of people, some who are in this room, some who have stepped out, some who aren't here, with their constant need to keep bringing up the same thing over and over again. During the 6.5 years here in this district, I've been awarded by 2 different schools Volunteer of the Year. I work hard to make this district continue to be excellent and to be held to the high standards which we've come to expect. These individuals that come at you over and over again take away from the good that you're doing, and instead of helping, they hinder the process. Those who stand and want to constantly criticize, I would just like to say, we've heard you, we know who you are, and we would like to say that this authentic majority of the people here and around this district would like you to put down your pitchforks and your paranoia and go to work in and for our schools. The committees I have sat on are not just yes committees. We are not made up of just D20 employees. We come with a lot of understanding of this district, and I would just like to say that as this season comes to close, if we could just work together to make this district continue to be great, that would be helpful, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate you and all of your work. Go 3A. Thank you.
Board comments. Let's start with the end and come this way. Mrs. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Strebe. I have, like all of you, been grieved by the repeated accusations, etc. that have been directed at the board. But at the same time, I feel quite blessed. Blessed to be the recipient of them rather than all the stellar, accomplished, selfless individuals working in this district and for this district who continue to surprise me on a regular basis with their creativity, their innovation, their superior work. I've never been associated with a better group of people in this building, on this dais. It is my great honor to hear complaints as well as be able to pass out accolades. And there are many to pass out. I'm so grateful to see the return of Mr. Cohn. You are such a valuable aspect of our district. Your counsel is valued and trusted. I had an example, and I've often pondered what makes this school district so special, so unique. My family and myself as a student experienced a real diversity of educational experiences. I had private school, I had large public school in Houston, I had a small urban school, and then likewise my children had small private schools in Florida, public schools in California, and then thankfully we happened upon District 20. And over the years, I have often pondered what is the special ingredient that's present here that makes it different, because I know people all over the country, all over the world want the best for their families, for their students, for their children, for their communities. I know that that's not unique to Colorado Springs or District 20. But I have come to think that since I've had this vantage point, this board position, one element that makes this district so open, so willing to embrace excellence, to demonstrate it, an atmosphere of nurturing and love that is present in all the schools, and is the most important thing to me. Why that is valued, I believe, is because there is a significant portion of our community who works in the public sector and in the military services and the related industries, people who know the value of true freedom that comes from education and the strength that one gains from free access and that is the lifeblood, that is what we fight for when we go out. And with Veterans Day on the horizon, it is certainly worth noting that special aspect of our community is one that probably is that secret sauce that enables us to move forward and give of ourselves as selflessly as I see everyone, especially on that side of the room, but even I see everyone here. I know you're fabulous. I honor you for all that you've given and done for our school district. So an example of that very selflessness was today I was able to attend the huge assembly at Liberty High School honoring Liberty's new state championship marching band, 4A state champion. And the story that was cited by Janice Matsky, the band director, was one that is very representative of that atmosphere that exists here. And she said that as soon as the bands were dismissed, after the announcements had